Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference building up to the Derby Manchester United game tomorrow night, 8:15 kick-off at Pride Park in the FA Cup 5th round. So Solskjaer has provided us with some news regarding Daniel James. He's also provided us with some news regarding Wan-Bissaka, Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford. So Solskjaer has confirmed that Daniel James will not be involved in the game tomorrow against Derby. Daniel James did miss. He did miss the game against Everton last weekend. He has been injured as Daniel James. But I think from my own perception anyway, Manchester United have been overplaying Daniel James a little bit. And I don't think he's been to his, best in the last month or so. So I think, he's been ruled out. The news regarding Wan-Bissaka, Solskjaer did say that Wan-Bissaka's had some kind of back problem, but he did play the full 90 minutes against Everton. Now, I think he's set to undergo some kind of test, is Wan-Bissaka, to see the extent of the injury. But I think, it's more than likely that Wan-Bissaka will not be involved tomorrow. So that's the latest news regarding them. The news regarding, obviously, Marcus Rashford, he's still out for Manchester United. He could be out for the rest of the season, could Marcus Rashford, with this back injury, because his injury is more severe than what we initially thought at the first. But, Solskjaer did come out a couple of days ago and he said he's confident that Rashford, will be back for the end of the season. But, he did say, that Rashford, should be fit for the European Championships this year, because it is the European Championships this year. But Rashford has been a big miss for Manchester United because, like I mentioned, he's been one of our best players this season. And I think Solskjaer made a mistake by ever playing him against Wolves. If he hadn't played him against Wolves, then more than likely, this injury would have never occurred for Marcus Rashford. So, yeah. And the news regarding Paul Pogba is, I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Paul Pogba recently anyway, haven't I? Solskjaer did confirm in the press conference that Paul Pogba is still working with the physios, and he did reveal that, he will be returning to training next week. He did actually, say earlier on this week that Paul Pogba was set to return to training this week, but now that is not the case. He's going to be returning to training next week. But Paul Pogba is stepping up at his fitness regime, and I think, he should be back for the Tottenham game, and I think the Tottenham game's either on the 14th or the 15th of this month, and it is away from home. Now, obviously, do you think, Paul Pogba will stay at Manchester United, or do you think he will go in the summer? Maybe there's still a possible chance he'll stay with Manchester United. He could possibly, extend his contract. Pogba's got a year left on his contract now, but the club do have an option to extend it by a further year. Don't forget, Paul Pogba's recently come out and said, he's looking forward to the development in partnership with Bruno Fernandes, because I do believe, Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, would complement each other fantastically well in our midfield. But I think even when Paul Pogba does come back and he does regain full fitness, I think he'll, find it hard, to get in the team now, because obviously you've got Fred, McTominay, Matic, Fernandes, that are all doing well in our midfield. So I think for Paul Pogba to get in the team, would either have to drop Fred, Matic or McTominay, but there's no main explanation why we'd want to, because they've been in a good run of form recently, let's be honest. But yeah, so I think if Paul Pogba does leave Manchester United this summer, he'll either go to Real Madrid. If he doesn't go to Real Madrid, he'll make a return back to Turin, because he did enjoy 4 good years in Turin, did Paul Pogba. But the vast majority of his performances at Man United have been totally comparison to his ones in Turin. We've quoted out that we want 150 million for Paul Pogba this summer. Real Madrid came out a couple of weeks ago and, they said basically they wanted around 150. They valued him, at £50 million. So that's 3 times less than what we're demanding, basically. But Paul Pogba's got the same perception as he had last summer, because he revealed last summer that he wanted to leave Manchester United. After the Everton game on Sunday, it was a 1-1 draw. Graham Souness gave his overarching view on Pogba, and he actually, believes that Paul Pogba doesn't want to play for Manchester United, because he believes, from his own perception, Paul Pogba, lacks commitment in recovering faster from his injury. But Pogba's only played 8 games this season. The last time he played was Boxing Day. He hasn't started a game from the start since September, so he has sustained a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he's our most expensive signing at the moment. We paid 89 million. Obviously, he's one of the highest paid players at the club. So if we sell him, look at it from a financial point of view, we'll generate a lot of money for his departure. Plus, it will free up our wage bill a little bit. So I don't think we really need Paul Pogba, to be quite honest here. But, we're still good, to get him back into the team and that. But yeah, that's the update on Pogba. He is working with the physios. He's close to returning now and he's back in training next week. But Solskjaer said the other week that his return was not imminent, and he even did say at one point he may never play for Manchester United again. Also, too, he did obviously mention Wayne Rooney. Obviously, Wayne Rooney is going to be reuniting with Manchester United because he's player manager for Derby. And I did say yesterday on my preview it's going to be an intriguing game because of the return of Wayne Rooney. Like Solskjaer was saying regarding Rooney, he was a great long-serving player for the football club. Rooney endured 13 years at Manchester United as a player. Of course, we got him in 2004 and he left in 2017. Obviously, he's the club's all-time leading goal scorer with 253 goals in all competitions. Also was England's top goal scorer as well, his country's top goal scorer. And, Rooney was just absolutely phenomenal for Manchester United. I think, when he went back to Everton, I think he actually, played against us, did Wayne Rooney. Obviously, after he left Everton, he went to, the MLS to play for DC United. And now, of course, it is at Derby, is Wayne Rooney. But, Solskjaer, did credit him, during the press conference. And he did say he'll be out to prove there's a fight in the old dog. And, this is what, Solskjaer had said regarding Wayne Rooney and that. So, I'm really, really looking forward to the tie. Solskjaer also come out and said, that he also come out and said that that it's he come out and said it's impossible for any teams, to emulate our 1999 treble winning season. So he doesn't believe any team will replicate this. Obviously, Liverpool can't win the treble now because obviously, they're out of the FA Cup. But Liverpool are going to win the Premier League, and of course, they could still win the Champions League. But it's going to be a very, very good game against Derby. Like I mentioned, it's tomorrow, 7:45 kickoff at Pride Park. We have played Derby quite a few times, haven't we? In the cups. I think last season we played Derby in the League Cup. But I think we lost 8-7 on penalties. It was the League Cup, yeah. We played them back in we played them in the FA Cup back in January 2018. Beat them by 2-0, and we beat them 3-1 at Pride Park back in 2016. So we have played Derby quite a few times in the cup. I think they're sitting 15th or 16th in the Championship. But Manchester United should comfortably progress to the quarterfinals of the competition. Also, we've had some good news regarding Alex Tuanzebe and Fosu-Mensah. I think it was on Monday night they was playing for the under-23s against Stoke. So, they've now, they're basically now back from injury. I think Tuanzebe and Fosu-Mensah could be involved in the game against Derby, but I'm very sceptical that they will start because, they had been out of injury for a while and that. So, it's good now in general, that players are coming back from injury. We progressed to the 5th round of the FA Cup by beating Wolves in the 3rd round. Obviously, it went to a replay. We're beating Tranmere in the 4th round by 6-0. That's our highest away win since we beat Nottingham Forest back in 1999, 8-1. And I think it's our biggest win under Ole Gunnar Solsjkaer, definitely. And yeah, so that's how we progressed to the 5th round by beating Wolves and Tranmere. Derby progressed to the 5th round by beating Crystal Palace in the 3rd round. And, they did beat Northampton in the 4th round. By the way, like I reminded you yesterday, there's no replays in the 5th round. So if it is to end a level after 90 minutes, it goes to extra time. And then obviously no penalties if necessary. So there's no replays in the 5th round of the competition. But, I'm convinced Manchester United will progress into the quarterfinals. The FA Cup's a priority for us because it is a chance of us getting some silverware on the board this season. We haven't won out in terms of silverware under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer yet. And, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now over the year. He's been here around 14 months. And I think, we can win the FA Cup. We've got to a few finals with, we're the second most successful team in FA Cup history because we've won 12, Arsenal have won 13. The last time we won it, it was back in 2016 under Louis van Gaal when we did beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. Yes, we did in that. And, we enjoyed a very, very good FA Cup run last season. Obviously, last season we beat Reading in the third round. That's, of course, when John made his debut. We beat Arsenal in the fourth round. And, of course, we beat Chelsea in the fifth round, but went out in the quarterfinals to Wolves. So, the FA Cup is a very, very good trophy. So, I'd say it's a priority for Man United. Also, the Europa League is a priority for us because, obviously, it's another route to Champions League football is the Europa League. Plus, it's, another chance of us getting some silverware on the board. And we won the Europa League back under the Jose Mourinho era. And also the league is a priority for us because obviously, we are still in that top four race. There's quite a lot of teams now in that top four race. Obviously, fifth place is a Champions League spot, reflected on Manchester City's ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. Obviously, it won't be, obviously, if City win the appeal. And like I mentioned, City have thrown a lot of money at the appeal. But it would still be very, very good for us to finish in that top four. We have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season ever. But, on the other hand, we can still finish in the top four. So that just indicates how poor a lot of teams have been in the Premier League this season. But the most infuriating thing is that we failed to capitalise on Chelsea dropping points this season. When Chelsea have dropped points, we've dropped points. So realistically now, analysing it, we should be in that top four. And obviously, we need Champions League football secured for next season. So that means in that aspect, we can be more competitive in the summer transfer window. We can get the right calibre players in. And all in general, will generate more money anywhere for getting, Champions League football in the bag. It will generate more money anyway. Obviously, I think our revenue's set to drop from around 600. I think it's set to drop around £70 million from 627 million. That's because we're not in Champions League football. And even Solsjkaer did say we will suffer even more if we fail to get Champions League again. But a club of our size, should be in the Champions League anywhere. So let's currently take that into account. Let's take that into account. Also, by the way, Lee Grant's injured. He's also a long-term absence. I think only our long-term absences now are Rashford and Lee Grant. We've just seen McTominay come back from injury. I think since he's come back, he's done really, really well. We've just seen Bay come back from injury. So yeah, more players are now coming back from injury, which is very, very good. And Solskjaer, in this game against Derby, will make quite a few changes from the 1-1 draw with Everton. I think he'll probably maybe rest a couple of key players, because obviously, Manchester City is on the horizon. So he'll rest a couple of key players. So I think he'll go, like I mentioned, I think he'll go with Sergio Romero in goal because Sergio Romero tends to play in the cup games and he is our second choice goalkeeper, Sergio Romero. So, he'll drop that. I think he'll drop David De Gea. He'll save him for the game on Sunday against Manchester City. Obviously, Roy Keane, don't forget, come out and criticise David De Gea, reflecting on his calamitous mistake that he made in the, game against Everton that led to Dominic Calvert-Lewin's first goal. Obviously, Solskjaer, reacted to Roy Keane's comments and, he still believes that David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. And there's been a lot of narratives coming out of the mainstream media saying that we could sell David De Gea this summer. Because analysing it, David De Gea's had a really, really good career at Manchester United. He's been a long serving. He's now into his 9th season at the club. He's enjoyed 8 years here. I think he's had a good 6.5 years out of the 8 years he's been here. But analysing it, at least in the last year and a half or so, he has become a liability. But he's right, Solskjaer. I agree with him on that aspect. Overall, he's still the best goalkeeper in the world, or one of them. But not at this present time. But you can't argue, what he's achieved at the football club. He's won everything here domestically. He's won the club's player of the year like 4 times out of the past 5 or 6 seasons, reflecting on his good run of performances. He also enjoyed a difficult first season, when he first came in, David De Gea. But, obviously Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. Madrid came close to getting him in 2015, but never did, due to the fax machine on deadline day. Juventus have been in for him. PSG have been in for him. David De Gea committed his long-term future with the club last year anyway, because he signed a new long-term contract until 2023. So it's a 4-year contract with an option of a further year. I think David De Gea did sign, and he's on 375 grand a week at the football club, and he is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world and the highest paid at the football club. And there's also another main explanation why we could get rid of David De Gea. Because obviously, Dean Henderson is set to, come back to Man United after his loan spell with Sheffield United. And that means, we could make Dean Henderson our number one goalkeeper, because Dean Henderson has been a revelation on his loan spell with Sheffield United. And I think Man United made the correct decision by putting Dean Henderson out on loan, to obviously, gaining more experience. So some people say keep De Gea as our number one, and some will say get Dean Henderson as our number one. But recently, Solsjkaer has been talking a lot about David De Gea and Dean Henderson. So yeah, so Romero playing this game. I think Bailly will be involved against Derby. I think since Bailly's come back, he's done really, really well. Maybe now Lindelof could be dropped more and we could start playing Bailly more than Lindelof. So Bailly could be our preference over Lindelof. Bailly is very injury prone, but, when he's fully fit and when he plays, his composure's good, his distribution's very, very good. And yeah, so maybe, we'll play him alongside Maguire instead of Lindelof alongside Harry Maguire. I think Dalot will be involved in this game. He'll probably start at right back, will Diego Dalot. Don't really have a perception on him at the moment because, Dalot hasn't really started a lot of games this season for Man United because he's obviously sustained quite a few injuries. Maybe Brandon Williams will get a chance. Hasn't played, from the start for quite a few matches now, hasn't he, Brandon Williams? I think he's my preference over Luke Shaw. Obviously, Luke Shaw's obviously a lot more experienced than Brandon Williams because Brandon Williams is in his first season in the senior squad. But I think, to be fair, since Luke Shaw's come back, he really has proven a point because he was out for like 2 months was Luke Shaw, and Luke Shaw has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. He won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his good run of performances. So I think Brandon Williams will be involved. I think Fred will keep his place in the team because he's recently rejuvenated himself as Fred. Obviously, he's had bad spells as a Man United player and we were criticising him a lot, but I did say at that point we need to give Fred time. Under Mourinho, he never really got the opportunity, did Fred, so you've got to take that into account. He was also exceptional in Ukraine with Shakhtar Donetsk, but now we are starting to see the best of Fred, which is very, very good to see. I think he's played well alongside Matic and he's played well alongside McTominay. For my own perception, he looks better when he's playing alongside McTominay, to be fair, does Fred, but we did pay 50 million. McTominay, I think he'll be involved in the game because I think he's done well, this season. I think he's done well since he's come back as McTominay. Matic, do you think he'll be involved in the game? Some people have got different perceptions. Some people would play McTominay over Matic and some people would play Matic over McTominay. My preference would be McTominay over Matic. But to be fair, Matic has recently rejuvenated himself. He really, really has. And I think, with Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, he seems to make, Matic, look more quicker, even though he is a slow player, is Nemanja Matic and that. So, yeah, I think he'll definitely be involved. I don't want to see Lingard involved. I don't want to see Andres Pereira involved because, they are two liabilities at Manchester United, are Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira. And I think they are two players that I can assure that we need to move on this summer. Chong and Gomez possibly could be involved. I think Chon and Gomez, probably need to be moved on because their appearances are limited. They're not really getting enough chances, especially Angel Gomez. He's not getting enough chances at Manchester United. It's going to be interesting to see how he approaches the game against Derby. Will he stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation? More than likely, because we've been going with that formation on a regular basis this season. Like I mentioned, I don't think it really suits our standards, the 4-2-3-1. Me personally speaking, I think we'll look more expansive with 3 at the back. Maybe it's a good option to go with 3 at the back when you're playing against an elite opposition or whatever. Should we go with a 4-3-3? See if that works out for us. But more than likely, we'll stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation. Greenwood probably will play again because he tends to start a lot in the cup games, does Greenwood. He started our last 2 Premier League games, surprisingly. And Solskjaer did well because I said, he needed to start Mason Greenwood more in the Premier League. Greenwood's on 11 goals in all competitions this season in 20-odd first-team appearances, and he's got 5 Premier League goals as Mason Greenwood. Can play as a number 9 and he's also an option on the right-hand side. Bruno Fernandes, I think, will play, because he's also enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career as Bruno Fernandes. 3 goals already. He's obviously, provided 2 assists, and Bruno Fernandes is key to our rebuilding process under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I think Solskjaer has been instructed to build a team around Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, he makes a difference in that midfield, and he is like two players in one. Is Bruno Fernandes definitely in that? So like I mentioned, he will make a lot of changes, but we will be making a lot of rotation anyway, because obviously games are coming up thick and fast for us. Derby tomorrow in the Cup, City on Sunday. Then we've got Lask, is it 3 or 4 days later in the last 16 of the Europa League. And then obviously after that it's Tottenham. So games are coming up thick and fast for Manchester United, definitely. Yes, definitely in that. My perceptions on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I still don't think is a long-term solution for Manchester United. We have been in a good run of form recently, though, to be fair. We're unbeaten in our last 8 games in all competitions, so that's a positive. And, I think recently, to be fair, we have started to replicate, what we did in that 3-month period when Solskjaer was the interim manager. Because he did really, really well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. Won his first 8 games, didn't he win 10 out of 13 in the Premier League, and won 14 out of 19 in all competitions. And reflecting on what he did when he was the interim manager, he got the job permanently, did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think that's one mistake the club did make by giving him the job permanently. I think we give him it too soon. But, recently, we have done really, really well, to be fair. But, hopefully, we can keep this up until the end of the season. If we can keep this consistency up until the end of the season, then maybe we'll be determined to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer another season at the football club, because this is his first full season at the football club at the moment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like I mentioned, he's been here now over a year. He's aware it is a transition period, and he did reveal at the beginning of the year he's hopeful Manchester United can get through this transition period. Obviously, since Solskjaer's come in, a lot of players have left the football club. Around 9 senior players have left since he came in. Obviously, he's spent around £220 million on 5 players. Last summer brought James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. And obviously in January he bought Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo in. Odion Ighalo, I don't see the club making his deal permanent, to be quite honest with you. I think, when his loan spell comes to an end, I think he'll, basically leave Manchester United. I think, well, do you think we could make his deal permanent? If he hits the ground running, or, if we get any more injuries to our attacking players, then maybe we could. I don't know how much it'd cost us to get him permanently. I think we've paid around 3 or 4 million to get him on loan. We're paying like a third of his wages. He's not yet made his full Premier League debut, by the way, because he didn't start against Everton but came on. But, he's already scored for Manchester United. He did score in the Club Brugge game, don't forget. But he's just basically a good cover-up to Marcus Rashford, is Odion Ighalo. But yeah, like I mentioned, we are making plans for the summer transfer window. There is quite a few players on our agenda, and there is still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. Obviously, probably more than likely now, Solskjaer will be Manchester United manager in the summer transfer window, because obviously, Ed Woodward's backing him. Obviously, there's quite a few of our players, that are still backing Solskjaer, including Matic, because he said, he's improving as Man United manager. But to be fair, the longer he's in the job, the longer he's going to gain more experience. Because I did say, didn't I, Solskjaer is inexperienced as a manager. But yeah, there's quite a few players on our agenda, and I think we're lining up around the 250 million, spree. So the players on our agenda, as you all know, Jadon Sancho's one player on our agenda. Obviously, Jack Grealish, he's our number one priority target for the summer. They probably cost us around £160 million in total, with Sancho and Jack Grealish. Maddison, we've been in for him before. So these, we are making now plans for the summer transfer window. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is expected to cost us around £100 million, because Borussia Dortmund have quoted out that they want around £100 million. We've got the financial power to meet that valuation. Now, the Telegraph came out, don't forget, and they said we're leading the race for Jadon Sancho. And, he's going to cost us £100 million. Man United are reportedly prepared to offer him around the £200,000 a week contract. So that'd make him not only the most expensive player at the club, but one of the highest paid players at Manchester United. Real Madrid, PSG, Liverpool and Chelsea have all expressed an interest. I think his actual preference is a move to Manchester United is Jadon Sancho's. Borussia Dortmund's chief executive came out and, he insisted that Jadon Sancho is happy at Borussia Dortmund. He's a very, very good player, and I think he would dramatically improve us. Predominantly a right winger. Sancho's been dropped in quite a lot of games this season, though, for Borussia Dortmund. I think in the past 2 seasons he's been a revelation. Still got a contract with Dortmund until 2022. Looking at it from a financial point of view, Borussia Dortmund are going to they're going to make a huge profit on the player. They're going to make around the 92, 93 million pound profit on him. If they do sell him for 100 million, because they only paid £7 or £8 million for him from Man City. He never really got his opportunities at Man City, did he? Jadon Sancho. He never got any first team opportunities, and this is why he left City to join Borussia Dortmund. But yeah, we want to get a deal finalised for him because we've been long admirers of him. Some people say we need Champions League qualification to get him on the board, but he's going to be leaving Dortmund because Sky in Germany, like I mentioned, confirmed this the other week, and Sky, all to do with Sky for me is a very reliable source, definitely. But yeah, so hopefully, Man United can sign Jadon Sancho. That'd take our spending under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to 320 million because we've spent 220 million at the moment. Jack Grealish, like I mentioned, we want to get a deal finalised for him as soon as possible. We can't wait until after the Euros because, he's, Villa's asking price, will go up. I think it probably cost us around 80 million if we was to wait until after the Euros to get Jack Grealish. Because obviously with him participating in the Euros, it would cost us more money. If Villa avoid relegation, that's going to cost us more money. And he's been saying that, Jack Grealish could make his debut this year for England in the Euros. He's 24, is he, Jack Grealish? Predominantly an attacking mid, but can also play as a winner occasionally. Up until this point, has spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa as Jack Grealish. But I think he did reveal if he is to leave Villa, he's keen on making a move to Manchester United. So yeah, he's our number one priority target for the summer. And, it'll be interesting to see, how Man United would line up, with Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish in the team. And I've got a slight idea, I've got a slight idea how we could line up with them in the team, with different formations. I might do a video on that, by the way, if I get time later on today. But yeah, Jack Grealish is on our agenda. He's got a release clause of 40-odd million, hasn't he? He's still got around 3 years left on his contract with Aston Villa. But, we've been in for Jack Grealish for quite a while and that. But like I mentioned, there's various issues at the club that needs to be addressed. Obviously, I said, didn't I? There's not only problems with the management, there's been obviously problems with the board. I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years. Obviously, a lot of United fans have got doubts about the Glazers. They've got doubts, about Ed Woodward and that. As you all know, I think there's still around 4 or 5 players that need to leave Manchester United this summer, like I mentioned, because these still problematic players at the football club. So yeah, we do need to see a lot of changes at Manchester United, definitely. But, persistently sacking managers isn't always the right solution, because we're not known for a sacking football club. We've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. We sacked David Moyes, we sacked Louis van Gaal, and we sacked Jose Mourinho. And, Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager since then. So, always sacking managers isn't always the right option. And if we sack Solskjaer, I think our next manager probably will have been Mauricio Pochettino. If it isn't Mauricio Pochettino, it will be Massimiliano Allegri. Because, they've obviously, been linked with a managerial role at Manchester United. But maybe Solskjaer will get given another season. If we can finish within the top 6 and we get European football, I think he will be given another season at the club. If it doesn't work out going on to next season, that's when I think we'll get rid of him. But he knows going into next season, if he's still here, Solskjaer, he will have many expectations to exceed, definitely. I think we can get the right players this summer. I think we can be title contenders going on into next season. Yes, we can, because we haven't won the Premier League since, 2013. And that's obviously, 7 years ago now. And, like I mentioned. So that's your reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference and everything else to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel, guys. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.